tonight on Y News. The Supreme Court junks disbarment complaint against Ombudsman Carpio Morales. The Philippine National Police dismisses all 154 cops who defied reassignment to Basingan. President Rodrigo Duterte opts to stay with his family on his 72nd birthday today.
The Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, warns the public against unregistered money lending companies. The Tokyo government evicts homeless people in Central Park in preparation for the 2020 Olympic Games. And diners are offered with a special dining experience in a one-of-a-kind restaurant in Mumbai, India.
Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center, this is Y News with Angelo Castro III and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. The Supreme Court has junked a disbarment complaint against Ombudsman Carpio Morales. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
In the Supreme Court today, all the justices agreed to junk the disbarment complaint filed by Greco Belhica last Friday against the Ombudsman. Belhica was a city councilor of Manila.
The court unanimously dismissed the complaint filed by Mr. Belhica for lack of merit.
Belhica claimed Morales violated the lawyer's oath when she dismissed the GRAFT charges arising from the disbursement acceleration program against former President Benigno Aquino III. He also claimed that the Ombudsman lacked integrity and was biased. The High Court, however, says Morales could not be disbarred while in office, since being a lawyer is a requirement to her position.
A public officer who under the Constitution is required to be a member of the bar as a qualification for the office held by him or her, and who may be removed from office only by impeachment, cannot be charged with disbarment during the incumbency of the public officer.
The court also rejected Belhica's reasoning that Morales may be charged with disbarment, but the penalty may only be imposed after she steps down next year. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Philippine National Police has ordered the dismissal of all 154 cops who defied their reassignment to Basilan. Grace Casin will tell us why.
National Capital Region Police Director Oscar Albayalde says 1 month is enough for the defiant policemen to explain their refusal for reassignment. And since they did not act on the order, PNP has decided to dismiss them and they can no longer return to their service.
Kung talagang hindi sila nagpakita, then they will be permanently dismissed from the service na wala na silang paraan pa para ma-reinstate.
The PNP also does not discount the possibility that the said cops are involved in illegal activities.
Kung sino yung mga nag-awol, sila yung mga gumagawa ng hindi tama at saka sila ay nai-involve sa iba't ibang klaseng krimen.
Today, a total of 41 policemen left for Zamboanga and head to Basilan. They were part of the first batch of reassignment. However, they were left behind as they needed to process their court duties and address their health conditions. Over 99 Metro cops were sent to Basilan. Meanwhile, NCRPO is not discounting the possibility of reassigning them again in Metro Manila.
Kung makita naman talaga that they are behaving well, I think siguro naman they will be rewarded.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The cop who mauled a motorist inside the QCPD Station 5 turns over his government-issued service firearm. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
Following NCRPO's order to place Police Chief Inspector Melvin Madrona under restrictive custody at the Headquarters Support Service, QCPD Director Police Chief Superintendent Guillermo Eleazar confirms that Madrona made an exit call to him and personally turned over his government-issued firearms as part of the process.
Assign na siya sa Headquarters Support Service. Actually, kanina galing din siya sa Police Station 5, nagpaalam din sa Station Commander. Tapos dito sa akin,
Madrona went to the Headquarters Support Service at Camp Crame after bidding farewell to his colleagues at the QCPD station. Eleazar claims Madrona has been a good cop and has no involvement in any case, but the police official says he still need to face punishment for assaulting a motorist.
this is the first time actually. He is actually the chief ng Station Drug Enforcement Unit. At kaya naman siya napili doon dahil wala naman tayong mga zero report about him. In fact, talagang nakatulong siya sa kampanya natin against illegal drugs and other forms of criminality.
Ako po ay tumatagima lang po sa aming organisasyon, sumusunod sa aming kautusan o pulisiya ng PNP. At ako po ay nandito po ngayon para sumunod sa kautusan.
Aside from direct assault charges, Madrona will also file another case against Mark Lester Cabrera, the motorist he mauled inside the Station 5. Madrona and Cabrera got into a road altercation after their cars collided along Commonwealth area.
We are preparing yung complaint ng slight physical injuries against Mark Lester dun sa babaeng nagkapasa-pasa.
QCPD is also investigating the other police who were present during the Madrona's beating but did nothing to stop him. Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Policemen and operatives of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency arrest a woman who allegedly supplies illegal drugs in Zambales and Olongapo City. Joe Anano will tell us why.
A woman who is an alleged supplier of illegal drugs was arrested during an entrapment operation in Barangay East, Bahak-Bahak, Olongapo City. The suspect was identified as Norquesa Dumrang. Authorities seized inside her home 350 grams of shabu worth more than 1 million pesos.
Wala siya sa high-value target namin, yung sa listahan wala. Bago yan.
Dumrang allegedly supplies to big-time drug peddlers in Zambales and Olongapo.
Galing sa Mindanao yung item niya, papuntang Cavite, Metro Manila, then dadalhin sa kanya. Siya naman, pagdating sa kanya, i-distribute naman niya sa mga medyo big-time na pusher.
The suspect meanwhile denies being a drug peddler.
Hindi ko nga po alam eh.
Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Malacañang says the relationship of the Philippines and the European Union remains excellent despite the controversial statements of President Rodrigo Duterte against the bloc. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
If I have the preference, I'll hang all of you. Marunong kayo mag-ano. You're putting us down. You're exerting pressure on every country na may death penalty. Why are you?
This was the statement of President Rodrigo Duterte against the European Union in relation to the latter's opposition to the anti-drug war of the administration and the re-imposition of the death penalty in the Philippines. Consequently, the European Union called for a meeting with the Philippines chargé d'affaires in Brussels, Belgium, to clarify their statements. The Malacañang says the president wanted to point out that EU should not interfere with the internal affairs of the government.
He speaks about an attitude of, emphasizing that we should be left alone to be able to do our part.
Malacañang also says there is nothing to worry about these controversies because the economic relationship of the Philippines and the European Union remains excellent.
The relationship between the European Union and the Philippines is quite excellent.
Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
On his 72nd birthday, President Rodrigo Duterte opted to have a private celebration with his family and friends. Victor Cosari will tell us why.
Today is President Rodrigo Duterte's 72nd birthday, yet the president had no official schedule as he usually spends quality time with family and some close friends in private during his birthday. But some supporters of the president took time to visit his home. Among them is Flor de Lisa Sepe, who brought dozens of roses and bananas, which is his favorite. Sepe was the former nanny of Sebastian Baste Duterte. Even if she is now working at the City Hall, she still does some chores for the first family and is also very thankful for all the help she gets from them ever since.
Among panginabuhi, arang-arang nagyudi para sa unang panahon. So, para sa ako, ma'am, special kay sila, love kay ako sila, ma'am. Tabi na sa president.
A group of Muslims also visited the president's home.
Patuloy po kami sumusuporta sa inyo pong mga adikain.
Chinese Ambassador Zhao Jinhua was one of the diplomats who visited President Rodrigo Duterte yesterday in Davao City, a day before his 72nd birthday. Zhao gave the president a portrait of him with his wife and daughter. Also, American Ambassador to the Philippines Song Kim and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary paid courtesy to the president. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
Overseas Filipino workers in Saudi Arabia are excited for the upcoming visit of President Rodrigo Duterte in April. Bel Cabigting will tell us why.
Renato and Micah have been staying in Saudi Arabia for 2 years without proper documents and an expired ikama. They decided to leave their jobs because their employer did not give them even a portion of their salary in the past 4 months of working.
Problema ko po ngayon sa kasalukuyan ay yung kawalan po ng panggastos. Dahil po sa hindi ko po natanggap ang sahod ko sa loob ng 3 buwan. So napaka-unfair po na magpatuloy kung sa bandang huli wala naman po akong matatanggap na sahod.
That's why stranded and undocumented Filipino workers like Renato and Micah, who have been living in uncertainty in Saudi Arabia, are excited for the upcoming visit of President Rodrigo Duterte in April. They are extremely hopeful that their concerns will be addressed, especially that it is the President himself who will be seeing them.
Sa pagdating po ni President Duterte, nagkaroon ng pag-asa ng aming problema kasi sa pamamagitan niya, mapapalakas niya ang aming loob o mapalakad yung aming mapapilis na makauwi.
Natutuwa ako dahil kahit papaano makikita natin in person. Nakikita natin doon sa TV, ipa rin yung mararamdaman mo at mapipil mo yung presensya niya.
The President is set to visit Saudi Arabia from April 10 to 12 this year. He is expected to address the Filipino community on the last day of his visit on April 12 before he returns to the Philippines. Belka Bigting, UNTV News and Rescue, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
The National Privacy Commission summoned all data protection officers in government agencies under the executive branch nationwide. This aims to ascertain that the public's information privacy is protected.
Magkaroon ng mga accountable officer ng mananagot doon po sa loob ng mga opisina at magiging champion ng privacy rights of their customers or stakeholders.
Commissioner Liboro emphasizes that the Commission on Elections or COMELEC is being cautious after a data breach incident last year and has hired data protection officers. Travel time on EDSA has been reduced by 5 minutes. Joanano will tell us why.
Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA's data shows the travel time on EDSA usually takes 1 hour and 10 minutes. But after MMDA's implementation of the light truck ban, the time of travel on the major thoroughfare became 5 minutes faster.
The good exercise dyan sa light truck ban kasi talagang bumilis. Natakot sila dun sa taas ng rate.
MMDA estimates 3,000 light truck traverse EDSA every day. This is why the agency says banning them helps ease the usually heavy flow of vehicles on the said road. Several motorists are convinced that the travel time on EDSA became faster because of light truck ban.
Medyo okay na rin ang nila, yung daloy ng traffic. Hindi kagaya noon niya nagbe-build up talaga ang traffic.
Yung mga light vehicles nga na pinagbawalan na may oras, malaking ginawa. Bago kami makaikot na papunta ng Commonwealth, natatraffic kami dito eh. Pero ngayon medyo lumuwag na ng konti.
The light truck ban takes effect on the southbound lane of EDSA from 6 to 10 o'clock in the morning, while light trucks are prohibited on EDSA northbound lane every 5 o'clock in the afternoon until 10 o'clock in the evening. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Next on Y News. The National Housing Authority begins verification and profiling of Kadamay members occupying the government housing units in Pandi, Bulacan.
The Department of Education reminds schools to hold graduation rites on or before April 7, 2017.
Y News will be right back. The Supreme Court has adjourned the oral arguments on the petition of Senator Laila de Lima. During today's hearing, the Solicitor General insisted that the petition should be dismissed. Roderick Mendoza is at the Supreme Court to tell us why live. Yes, Roderick, go ahead.
Diego, after 3 settings, the Supreme Court has finally ended the oral arguments on the petition of Senator Laila de Lima. Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno directed the Solicitor General and the lawyer of Senator de Lima to submit their respective memoranda within 20 days. The memoranda will highlight the final arguments of each camp. Afterwards, the petition is already submitted for decision. Meanwhile, during the oral arguments today, Solicitor General Jose Calida insisted that the petition should be dismissed. For one, he said the certification and verification page was falsified. He noted that for this, the Lima and the Notary Public are liable for indirect contempt of court and falsification. He added that de Lima is guilty of forum shopping by filing the petition with the Supreme Court when she has a pending motion with Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court. Calida further said the RTC has jurisdiction over the case and that Judge Juanita Guerrero was right in saying that there is enough evidence to arrest de Lima. Calida also appealed to the justices to dismiss the petition and let the trial court finish its job. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you, Roderick Mendoza, reporting live from the Supreme Court. A lawmaker believes that the proposed postponement of the barangay and SK polls will likely pass the lower house. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Dahil ang issue naman doon ay postponement, more likely makakapasa ito. Pero dito sa local government, yung kasi yung kailangan mong amyendahan dahil ang issue ay nakasulat kasi doon dapat ang mga barangay officials elective.
This is what Representative Sherwin Tugna of the House Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms believes about the proposed postponement of the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan election supposedly to happen in October this year. Tugna argues that should the bill pass the lower house, the village polls might be deferred until year 2020. Although he supports the proposal, he also believes that the accompanying suggestion of just appointing barangay officers in charge would surely go through serious debates. In fact, the appointment issue has posed concerns among lawmakers.
Kung appointed, they would be mobilized, kumbaga as part of the Duterte administration's political machinery.
Tugna believes that should the election be deferred to 2020, then the amendment of the Constitution could also be done simultaneously.
Baka ma-defer yan sa 2020. Isasabay na siguro yung referendum dyan and plebiscite pagdating sa federalism.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Bureau of Customs or BOC Legal Service clarifies that the alleged appointment of a certain Ariel Victorino as a commissioner of the agency is not verified. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Malacañang through Undersecretary Ernesto Abella confirms that Nicanor Fealdon is still the commissioner of the Bureau of Customs.
We don't have any comment regarding that. Like as of now, yes. As far as we know.
A certain Ariel Rosel Victorino allegedly claims being a relative of President Rodrigo Duterte. Reports say Victorino himself circulates a letter allegedly stating his official appointment as the new customs chief, which he claims signed by Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea. Aside from this, the management of BOC also claims receiving reports that Victorino demands money from employees and brokers in exchange for providing them protection. The legal service of BOC, however, says the letter came from Malacañang is not verified.
We will verify kung mayroon ba kung existent ba ito, authentic ba, genuine ba siya.
For its part, the agency maintains they will remain in support of whatever decision the president makes.
We serve at the pleasure of the president. No, kung nakikita niya na hindi na namin ginagampanan yung trabaho namin, kung hindi ginagampanan for example ng commissioner at kanyang trabaho, yun, anytime pwede naman siyang palitan.
The government reminds the public and employees of agencies to believe only official statements from the government so as not to be deceived by reported scams of different agencies. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila. House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez files a GRAFT complaint against Davao del Norte 2nd District Representative Antonio Floyrendo before the office of the Ombudsman. Alvarez asked the Ombudsman to investigate the move of the Bureau of Corrections to rent off one of its lands to the family of Floyrendo and Tadeco, a private company. He also claims Floyrendo has big shares in Tadeco. The House Speaker emphasizes that a lawmaker is prohibited from being financially involved in a government contract. Former AFP Chief of Staff Ricardo Visaya takes oath today as the new head of the National Irrigation Administration, or NIA. Visaya replaced Peter Lavinia, who resigned in February due to allegations of corruption. The former military official vows to focus on increasing farmers' rice production. He also promises to increase the salary and benefits of NIA employees.
The National Housing Authority begins verification and profiling of Kadamay members in Pandi, Bulacan. Robbie de Guzman will tell us why.
After verifying the exact number of occupants in each housing unit, the National Housing Authority proceeds with the profiling of the members of Kalipunan ng Damayang Mahihirap or Kadamay. The group has occupied the government housing units in Pandi, Bulacan since last week. By profiling, each member is being assessed on whether he or she is a bona fide member of Kadamay and if it's true that he or she has nowhere to settle.
Ang profiling po, ito po ay may isang format na may form po siya na ito po ay isusulat po yung pangalan po ng mga pamilya ng principal na halimbawa kung mag-asawa po sila, ilalagay po namin yon sa information sheet para ho makita po namin ito bang pamilya nito ay wala pa bang nabigay na programang pabahay ang National Housing Authority.
Yesterday, NHA postponed the implementation of the eviction notice among members of Kadamay. Instead, the agency agreed with a group to undergo the process of housing application. Based on the agreement, NHA will amend the payment terms and requirements in accordance to what each member of the group could afford. NHA has given the AFP and the PNP 30 days to submit to the agency the list of beneficiaries of the housing units in Pandi, Bulacan. Meanwhile, the Malacañang calls on Kadamay members to remain calm and adhere with the process.
The NHA has exhibited patience, and we hope that the Kadamay will be faithful to their contract, social contract. But let us try to avoid the use of force.
Robbie de Guzman, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Securities and Exchange Commission has warned the public against unregistered lending companies. Monokson will tell us why.
Over 7,000 lending companies are currently registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission. From among them, about 3,000 may have registered but without certificate of authority. A certificate of authority is the proof that a lending company is capable of lending money. SEC says without such certificate, it would be difficult for them to help a borrower in pursuing a lending company in case of complaints.
Para ma-regulate sila, is to kagaya nito yung if they have complaints, at least they have the commission to air their complaints.
SEC also warns the public not to transact with more than 80 suspended companies listed on their website. Also, the agency advises not to give in to Indian nationals who offer the 5-6 lending scheme, as they are obviously unregistered. But despite the warnings, many Filipinos are left with no choice but to borrow money from 5-6 lenders because of easy transaction.
Kasi po sa mga lending marami pong requirements. Sa Bombay po wala.
Sa Bombay? Bakit? Wala nang collateral wala nang marami pang hinihinging mga requirements
The list of SEC-accredited lending companies can be seen on the SEC website. Complaints can also be accommodated through iMessage, visible on the said website. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The government is now drafting a management plan for sardine fishery. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Scientists have observed a decrease in sardine catch whenever a phenomenon affects the Pacific Ocean. The number of the fish has also become smaller as fishermen catch them before they can even produce eggs.
During the La Nina times, bababa yung production ng kanilang pagkain. So, kasi kukunti yung pagkain nila, maaring bababa din yung kanilang production.
The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources said sardine supply in the country is still sufficient, but it should be balanced throughout the year. BFAR said during the peak of harvest season, the price of sardines per kilo drops to only 5 pesos from the average of 30 pesos.
Ang kagandahan nitong system na ito, wala itong boom and bust na may dagsa na bagsak presyo. Mamimaintain mo ngayon yung presyo.
Around 800,000 fishermen are engaged in catching sardines. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority shows a record of 355,000 metric tons of sardine catch in the past 5 years. A big percentage of it went to processing of canned sardines. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, reminds schools to conduct their graduation rites or moving up ceremonies on or before April 7. This school year, DepEd requires the holding of a graduation ceremony for grade 6 students and for all grade 12 learners from schools with DepEd-approved K-12 transition program. K-12 graduates this year will also receive high school diplomas. Grade 10 learners who finish junior high school will also have moving up ceremonies where they will receive their junior high school certificates. DepEd also reminds schools to conduct simple graduation rites and not to collect any fee or contributions from students. Almost 80 indigent students were all smile as they marched to receive their diplomas in their graduation rites today. Leslie Longbowen will tell us why.
This is a very special day for Princess Bautista. Today, she finally achieves her dream to finish college. Princess is a daughter of a farmer and has 6 siblings.
Wala po silang kakayahan na paaralin po ako sa college po. Kaya salamat po sa Diyos kasi may isang institusyon na nagbibigay ng libre sa katulad namin gustong mag-aral.
Princess is just one of the 79 scholars who graduated today at the La Verdad Christian College, Caloocan. The school provides free education to indigent youth. Aside from the free tuition, the students are also provided with free uniforms, food, and books. More than 500 students of La Verdad, Caloocan were able to finish their studies since 2012. Attorney George Erwin Garcia, the event's guest of honor, says he salutes the school for teaching the students various lessons.
Napalad kayo sa lahat sapagkat hindi lamang dahil sa kayo ay nabigyan ng libreng pag-aaral, mas ibig sabihin na-develop ang inyong pagiging pagkatao, ang inyong pagmamahal sa Panginoon Diyos at pagiging isang tunay na Pilipino.
Last week, more than 200 students graduated in the main campus of La Verdad in Apalit, Pampanga. The La Verdad Christian School was founded by Brother Eli Soriano and Kuya Daniel Razon in 1999. It serves as a part of their advocacy to help the poor. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Caloocan City.
The recent visit of Japanese minister to Taiwan has upset China. Amiel Pascual will tell us why.
Japan's Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications confirmed that Deputy Minister Jiro Akama went to Taiwan to attend a tourism promotion event in his social capacity, leaving Japan last Friday, March 24th, and returning the following day. Akama is the highest level government official to officially visit Taiwan since Japan broke diplomatic ties with Taipei in 1972 and established them with Beijing. In Beijing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying says the visit clearly ran contrary to Japan's promises to only have non-governmental and local level exchanges with Taiwan.
中方对此坚决反对，已经向日方提出了严正的交涉。今年初以来，日方口头上声称遵守在台湾问题上的承诺，但是呢，在实际行动上却一再的挑衅滋事，已经给中日两国关系的改善造成了严重的干扰。
The Chinese foreign minister says Taiwan is a core interest of China. Japan is urged to recognize it.
我要强调，台湾问题涉及到中国的核心利益，坚决不容挑战。日方应该认识到问题的严重性，停止在涉台问题上两面派的做法，不要在错误的道路上越走越远。
Japanese broadcaster NHK showed Akama arriving at Taipei Airport, telling reporters there will be no change in Japan-China or Japan-Taiwan ties. Mel Pascual, UNTV News and Rescue, Taipei, Taiwan.
The European bloc promises to help Brazil restore trust in its consumers and trade partners after last week's meat scandal. Jovic Bermas will tell us why.
EU Commissioner for Health and Food and Safety Vytenis Andriukaitis visited research facilities in Rio de Janeiro on Monday. It was a visit that had been arranged ahead of the crisis which unfolded in Brazil following a police investigation into alleged bribery of health inspectors, which prompted some large importers to bar Brazilian products.
It's not about that. It's about effective measures to guarantee food safety and effective measures to restore trust and effective measures to guarantee responsibility.
Brazil's meat exports fell by 19% last week to $50.5 million a day versus the previous week, whilst the European Commission suspended shipments to the EU by companies implicated in the fraud investigation. However, for the first 4 weeks of March as a whole, meat exports were up by 7% year-on-year at an average of $59 million a day, reflecting a strong general growth trend.
In the EU, we have today very effective official control system, and we know that we will react in very effective manner immediately if something will happen, and we will help Brazil to do the same.
Saudi Arabia was the largest destination for Brazilian meat last week, following an import ban by China, which was the biggest importer last year. China lifted its import ban on Saturday. Jovic Bermas, UNTV News and Rescue, Europe.
Homeless people are evicted from a park in Tokyo, Japan. Danny Tixon will tell us why.
A park in downtown Tokyo, known to be occupied by many homeless people, was barricaded up and cleared on Monday. This is in preparation for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. The Shibuya area, one of Japan's major shopping districts, known to many by its iconic scramble road crossing, is undergoing renovations for the Olympics, and plans to build 4 new skyscrapers have been approved. But in order for construction to go forward, the Shibuya Ward Office needs to clear an area that has been occupied by many homeless for the past decade.
やっぱここは一番いいけどね、ここはね、もう工事やんじゃさ、もう人出されっからさ、もうそれはしょうがねえわな、それは。
基本的には今ある建物を一回取り壊して、新しい建物を建てて、でこうなんていうんでしょう、こうビルみたいなのを建てた屋上に公園を作るみたいな。
According to a report by the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, there were an estimated 6,235 homeless people in Japan in 2016. Almost a quarter of those live in parks in metropolitan areas. Darlene, UNTV News and Rescue, Tokyo, Japan.
Midfielder Arijan Ademi becomes eligible to play in October. Meanwhile, an Austrian pair celebrates as Vertical Up Tour concludes in Switzerland. Aaron Romero will tell us why.
In ski mountaineering, Austrian pair Dominique Salcher and Susanne Mayer finished as the Tour champions in the 5-stop Vertical Up Tour that concluded in Wengen, Switzerland. The ski mountaineers needed to race up the steep ski slopes. There are no rules in the race. The choice of equipment among the racers is also open as long as it is muscle-powered. And in soccer, GNK Dinamo Zagreb midfielder Arijan Ademi has his 4-year doping ban halved by the Court of Arbitration or CAS following an appeal. The 25-year-old Macedonian national team member tested positive of stanozolol, a synthetic anabolic steroid, following his team's win over Arsenal in the Champions League in September 2015. CAS found Ademi did not intentionally cheat and a 2-year ban was appropriate. He will be back in the game for club and country from October. Aaron Romero, UNTV News at Rescue, New York.
Commuters enjoy live music on their way to work or school across 15 underground stations in Moscow. Jun Garin will tell us why.
Hundreds of Russian musicians got a chance to show off their talents to a wide audience of Moscow metro commuters on Monday. Relaunched on a bigger scale, 15 stations on the metro will host concerts of singers, solo musicians, and bands of all styles, allowing tens of thousands of people to enjoy live music while getting around the city. The project, called Music in Metro, is not new. Moscow Underground has already hosted a number of classical music performances and even ballet on its platforms.
На самом деле это круто, что сейчас им разрешили, в метро здесь, на Курской, выступать. Они здесь, по-моему, тоже уже каждую неделю выступают. Я, по крайней мере, вижу их уже раз 3-4 за последний месяц.
Здорово. Здорово. Одно еще то, что здесь замечательная акустика в этом зале, поэтому, я думаю, будет что послушать.
But the idea of musicians playing for commuters for free proved to be so popular that the Metro decided to hold a casting session and schedule dozens of concerts at various locations daily. Musicians say it gives great access to new audiences without additional cost, while listeners can enjoy spending 10 minutes distracting from the stress of a working day.
Вы знаете, деньги мы зарабатываем на других мероприятиях, корпоративы, свадьбы. Здесь мы ходим только лишь для того, чтобы порадовать людей, конечно же, и за новыми нашими поклонниками, слушателями.
The Moscow Metro is known for its spacious halls, some of which are considered masterpieces of architecture. Many also have great acoustics. Over 6.5 million people use Moscow Metro stations daily. The concerts are currently scheduled for off-peak times. Jun Garin, UNTV News and Rescue, Europe.
Diners are treated with a special dining experience in a one-of-a-kind fine dining restaurant in Mumbai, India. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
On the southern edge of Mumbai's Powai Lake, hungry customers line up, waiting to be seated at one of the many fine dining restaurants in India's business and showbiz capital. But Mirchi and Mime, which translates to chili and mime in English, is not just any such restaurant. Its 27-strong team of servers are speech and hearing impaired.
So it is not about sympathy, it is not about empathy, it's a restaurant. We would define it as a cutting-edge restaurant which happens to be serving Indian food in case of Mirchi and Mime, which happens to be served by speech and hearing impaired individuals. That's the value addition. That is just a platform for them to show the world that yes, they can do it. All we have to do is change verbal communication to visual, otherwise it's a restaurant.
Each item on a menu is paired with illustrated instructions for how to communicate it to the waiters using hand gestures or sign language. The menus even have instructions to help customers ask for salt, pepper, sauces, cutlery, and different portion sizes. Each order also comes with its own name card when it arrives at the table to make sure customers know which dish is which. Diners are encouraged to try their hand at sign language, but in case anything gets lost in translation, 3 managers without impaired speech or hearing are on standby.
It's a learning experience for us to order from the menu, and they're very good. They're very, very happy. They're very pleasant, and they make the whole experience very nice.
Buoyed by its success, the owners plan to open 21 new restaurants with the same theme, each of which will be in India over the next 3 years. Staff at this outlet in Mumbai will be ready to help train newcomers. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Those are the reasons behind the news, March 28, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Darlene, Basingan.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News.